Hello mga kakognizants, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I am going to discuss as part of the continuation on crime against national security and law of the nations as provided under Book 2 of the Revised Penal Code. And now we are on espionage. So what do you mean by espionage? Espionage is the offense of gathering, transmitting, or losing information respecting the national defense with intent or reason to believe that the information is to be used to the injury of the Republic of the Philippines or the advantage of a foreign nation. Meaning to say, with that definition, ang atuang gustong i-emphasize is the intent to acquire information, to transmit information about the plans or photographs or any other relevant information nga naay connection sa defense or national defense of the Republic of the Philippines. Other information nga imong na-acquired not connected to the defense of the Republic of the Philippines, the crime is not espionage. So remember that. There must be intent. Remember, there must be intent when we talk of espionage. There must be intent to commit the crime by acquiring information against the national defense of the Republic of the Philippines. So, under Article 117, there are two modes of committing espionage. We have two modes. First mode is by entering without authority a warship, fort, or military or naval establishment or reservation to obtain any information, plan, or other data of confidential nature relative to the defense of the Philippines. It is very clear under Article 117 of the Revised Penal Code that the information acquired by that person is relative to the defense of the Philippines. Again, this first mode of committing espionage is committed by any person. It is committed by any person. By entering without authority, ang iyahang purpose is to obtain any information. Remember this, to obtain any information, plan, or other data relative to the defense of the Philippines. If you acquired or if someone acquired information but not relative to the defense of the Philippines, then the crime is not espionage, because it is very clear and it is specified under 117 paragraph 1 that such information or such data is of confidential nature and must be relative to the defense of the Philippines. So I hope you understand para mapasulod nato ang 117. Kay na may mga butang nga pwede mo acquire sila og information considering it is also in the nature of confidentiality, but such information nga iyahang na-acquire does not, or shall we say, is not relative to the defense of the Philippines. Maybe on personal aspect, maybe on any other aspect, but it does not affect on the defense of the Philippines. So, we have the elements as provided on the first mode of committing espionage. First is that the offender enters a warship, port, naval, or military establishment or reservation. Meaning to say, ning sulod ka, kini siya mga na-mention ng mga lugar, kining warship or military establishment or reservation. Ning sulod ako sa katao, again, baliko na ako on the first paragraph of Article 117, it is committed by any person. The word is any person. Bisan kinsa, maka-acquire og musulod diha og ma-acquire og information. Unlike sa treason, specific siya sa treason na Filipino citizen and resident alien. But on 117 about espionage, wala siya niingon nga resident alien, Filipino citizen, or a foreigner. Ang iyang gingon is any person. Any person pwede ma-held liable. So, that he has no authority therefore. Meaning, sulod ang sa katao ngadto sa military establishment nga wala siya authority. Meaning to say, dili siya authorized person nga mosulod didto. And third, that his purpose is to obtain information, plans, photographs, or other data of a confidential nature relative to the defense of the Philippines. On the third elements of the first mode of committing espionage is that ni-obtain kag information. Mga plano or imuhang gipicturan or other data nga imong nakuha of confidential nature. And dili lang diha mo stop. Ang atong elements kinahanglan it must be relative to the defense of the Philippines. So, as a whole, kung moingon tag naka-acquire sa information, he obtained information, say for example, information or data in confidential nature, but has no relative to the defense of the Philippines, then such acts committed by that person is not punishable under 117 of the revised penal code. Remember these elements because these elements will lead you to determine when to apply Article 117 of the revised penal code. Now let us proceed to the second mode of committing espionage. By disclosing to the representative of a foreign nation the contents of the articles, data or information referred to the preceding paragraph which he had in his possession by reason of public office he holds. So on the second paragraph, kung makita nato wala ta mo gamit og any person, but on the second mode of committing espionage is very specific to a public officer. Remember public officer iyahang gi-disclose or iyahang gipahibaw o gisulti to the representative of a foreign nation. Nga ang kanaon ta siya nga information is dili na pwede nimo i-disclose to any other representative because of its confidentiality. Tungod sa iyahang confidentiality, di na pwede nimo ipagawas without authority to do such. Second elements, that he has in his possession the article, data or information referred in the first mode of committing espionage by reason of public office he holds. Meaning to say, for example, he is a member of the military. He is the member of the armed forces of the Philippines. Or he has the authority on the warship. And he obtained information based on the plans or iyang napicturan or any other data of confidential nature na asa iyang position tungod kay by reason of his public office, tungod he is a public officer. Tungod kay he is a public officer and that information has relative to the defense of the Philippines. Ganiha, ni-enter siya si any person without authority. But on the second mode, mayingon ta nga, he has the authority. Why? Because he is a public officer. But the problem is, iyahang gi-divulge or iyahang gi-disclose ang information without authority from the government or dili pa kinahanglan siya because it's still on the confidentiality or still on its confidential nature. Meaning, iyahang i-maintain unta ang gitawag nato nga secrecy discipline. Third, that he disclosed their contents to a representative of a foreign nation. So, iyang gipahibaw as what I have mentioned earlier, gipahibaw ni public officer ngadto sa representative of a foreign nation about the information, about the plans, about the photographs, which is in confidential nature relative to the defense of the Philippines. So, ang atong ihuna-hunaon, the difference between the first mode and the second mode is that on the first mode, ang ni-commit is any person. Whether it is a resident alien, whether it is a Filipino citizen, whether it is a foreigner. Second mode, specific ta. Nga naman, only a public officer ang makakommit ani nga second mode of committing espionage. He must be a public officer. And by reason of his office, gihold na niya nga information. I hope you understand about the different modes of committing espionage. So, persons liable. Who are persons liable? First mode, Filipino alien residing. Pwede siya na foreigner. As long as iyahang di-commit ang katunga modes as provided under paragraph 1, and second mode is offender is a public officer. Note, being a public officer is a requirement in the second paragraph and it is aggravating in the first. Remember, kinahanglan nga he is a public officer. Kay specific ang atoang provision under Article 117. So, general notes, espionage, the offense of gathering, transmitting, or losing information respecting to the national defense with the intent or reason to believe that the information is to be used to the injury of the Philippines or the advantage of foreign nation. It is not conditioned on citizenship. In short, there must be intent. There must be intent para makahatag or say for example, mahibawan about sa depensa sa Philippine territory. Mauna siya, naka-intent, i-obtain mong information or ni offender, i-obtain yung information relative to the defense of the Philippines. So, wiretapping is punishable under Republic Act 4200 is not espionage if the purpose is not connected with the defense. So, kung maka-acquire ka ng information through wiretapping as defined under Republic Act 4200, so dili siya makonsider ng espionage. Why? Because it is very specific again that such information must be relative to the defense of the Philippines. If during the violation of the wiretapping and then he acquired information but the information is not relative to the defense, then dili mo i-apply ang espionage. Understand? So, on the first mode of committing the felony, it is not necessary that the offender succeeds in obtaining information. So, sa first mode, pag enter pa lang nimo diha, pag enter in the first mode of committing the felony, it's not necessary that the offender succeeds in obtaining information. Sa pag enter nimo diha, you're already liable. As long as your intent is makita ang intent nga mo-obtain siya information, mo-obtain siya information relative to the defense of the Philippine territory. So, these are different acts as provided under Commonwealth Act 616 or an act to punish espionage and other offense against national security. So, kung inyo makita ato ang i-emphasize or ato ang madali ma-determine is that all acquiring or unlawful acquiring of information must be relative to the national defense of the Philippine territory. So, kung dili siya mingon relative to the national defense, then dili nimo siya pwedeng ma-apply on this violation under Republic Act. I mean, under Article 117 of the Revised Penal Code. So, I hope you understand. Because what is important when we talk about Book 2 of the Revised Penal Code is for us to know the different elements. Once we already established the different elements in the commission of the crime, ato na siya ma-determine. Maro na importante, ma-establish na to ang elements in the commission of the crime, din maka-determine na ta of what crime to be instituted against that person. So, I hope you understand. Thank you and God bless us all.